velvety smooth, buttery soft. Ooh, just look at that. Absolutely ridiculously delicious sunchoke puree. A lot of things to go over in this video. By the end of this video, you will know everything there is to know about sunchoke puree. We're going to go over unpeeled, peeled versions, the food processor version, and then a taste test of all three so you can know all the things. First thing I'm going to do is the unpeeled version. I'm going to take some herbs, put them in a little bouquet. That's optional but good. Now, just as a precaution, we're going to pour some nice boiling water over the sunchokes to make sure that there isn't any remaining grit, because that's really the only danger of using them unpeeled. You're going to get flavor and a little more color from the unpeeled ones. I'm going to take a little bit of cream. Notice that I slice the sunchokes very thin. That is very important here. No big chunks, otherwise it could burn. Then I'm going to take some parchment. I'm going to make what's called a cartouche, or just a little parchment lid there. It's kind of roughly measure that, give it a little cut, and that's going to hold in some moisture. I'm also going to use a lid. This might seem strange, but you got to trust me here, because we want to steam them and get them hot and cook them. And we're cooking them here, instead of blanching, we're cooking them in the dairy just until they're tender. And eventually I'm going to take this lid off and the parchment off, but we want to have a little pressure cooker at first to make sure that to get all the slices thoroughly cooked. And then it's going to look like that at the end. It'll kind of mash itself up. We don't want any liquid. We want to be able to see the bottom of the pan. Take that little bouquet of herbs out, put our sunchokes into a high-speed blender with a good knob of butter, and then buzz, 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 we're going to puree this up. And some chefs I know would always peel sunchokes. You're going to see what I think of all of them together at the end. Look at how velvety smooth that got. Very, very nice. Okay, the peeled version. This is a little more intense. This is like the chef version, and peeling them is kind of a chore. Especially if you have wild ones, forget about even trying to peel them ever. It's impossible. It's just, don't ever even do that. The cultivated ones are ones from your garden where they've been trimmed. Those are the ones you can use like this. And to make them easier to peel, you can kind of square them off a little bit. This is also probably my favorite technique for roasting. You get a lower yield. If you have a ton of them, you're not going to care about that. So there's our peeled sunchokes. You can also take the sunchoke peel, and unlike potatoes, I will grind this up and I'll use that as a flour in certain things, like oatmeal that kind of looks like baby puke or vomit, this off shade of gray, but it tastes really good. So that's up to you. If you love to save things and you want to peel them, you can try that out. More power to you. I'm going to give those just a quick rinse. Make sure they don't oxidize, and then we're going to do the same thing as the unpeeled version. Slice them, cook them in dairy. That shouldn't be boiling so hard like that, but that little burner is hard to control. And then we're just going to buzz them up in the Vitamix, and look how velvety, smooth, and beautiful that looks. Excellent. A little bit more smooth than the unpeeled version, but both of them are good. If you want to save the puree for dinner, you can just put a little parchment on it. You can keep that warm in like a 200-degree oven. Also, for making flavored mashed potatoes, this is exactly what you want to do. Use the unpeeled version for that. You'll get more flavor than the peeled version. Really good mashed potatoes if you want to stretch them, if you have to buy them. That's the thing you want to do if you want to make mashed potatoes, or if you have a small amount. Now, okay, this is like the food processor method that some recipes online will tell you to do, and I don't like this one. So this method, you blanch the sunchokes, and basically what we're going to get here are watery tasting sunchokes with a texture of gravel and, just kind of an off-putting texture. It's not the worst thing in the world, but when you compare them side by side with those, sure, if you don't have a high-speed blender, go ahead and use a food processor, but yeah, a bowl of gray gravel, essentially. All right, it's time for a taste test. Here I have the sunchokes that I blanched and then just processed in a food processor. So they're kind of chunky like mashed potatoes. Then I have the puree of sunchokes that I peeled and the puree that I did not peel. So I'm going to start with the food processor method, the blanched method rather. It's okay. It tastes like sunchoke. I can tell that they've absorbed water as they were blanching. And if things absorb water while they're blanching, they're going to have a milder flavor. The only thing to mention with this that will probably be different from these is that when you're blanching something, solutes are going into the water, and some of those solutes with sunchokes are going to make you fart. So you're probably going to get a little bit less flatulence from eating blanched sunchokes than you would from the ones where I cook them directly in the cream. But I mean, in all honesty here, you're eating sunchokes, people are going to be farting either way. Just roll with it, just go with it, and make the stuff that tastes better. Because I already know what's going to taste better here because I've been trying them. Next, this is the puree with the skins on. It's wonderful. I get a little bit of the herbs at the beginning that were in the sachet that we took out. There's this like really noticeable sweetness, and it's still velvety smooth and a nice nuttiness from the skin. It's really, really good. Now here is the peeled one. So good. So obviously these two that are cooked in the cream have way more flavor than the one that you would blanch. You can, if you don't have a Vitamix, you can puree these in a food processor too, and they'll be good. But wow, like both of them are so good. The one that was peeled, it's almost more custardy, and it is a little bit smoother and a little bit more velvety than the one with the skins. But if you have a Vitamix or a high-speed blender, either one of these are going to be a great choice. It just depends on how much time you want to put into it, because peeling them is a little putsy. But for the record, cooking them directly in dairy is absolutely the way to go. Serving. Lots of different things you can do with it. It's super rich. So, like, chefs might only serve a couple tablespoons of this. Here's some chili crisp with a scallop. So good with seafood. A little bit of fried sage. Really, really good. But you can use smaller amounts. This is really rich stuff, but it's fantastic. I hope you make it. Let me know if you try it. The full recipe is on my website. Thanks for watching.